should never have trusted you, Richtofen. Never!
You should trust me, Dempsey. You all should.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Long Sensation, and today what I've got for you guys is the most best and easiest tutorial on how you can defeat the Gatekeeper within the Eisendrache. Now, of course, this is one of the final steps in the Easter egg, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know in order to defeat the Gatekeeper and earn the achievement, My Brother's Keeper. Now, a lot of people straight away are going to be wondering, how do I know what is the best way in order to defeat the Gatekeeper? And well, simply, we've only known about this step in the Easter egg for the past 48 hours, but in the past 48 hours I've gone to this stage in the Easter egg 6 times. As you can see on screen right now, I'll be showing you every single attempt very quickly, and within these attempts myself and my friends have learned a lot to do with how we can defeat it. And in fact, when we actually did defeat the Gatekeeper the final time, none of us actually fell down. We did it perfectly, and that is pretty much it. So in this video I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know in terms of what weapons you're going to need to use, what gobblegums you'll need to use, what perks, etc, and one final incredibly useful tip that is actually represented by the bows. If you're not aware, each individual bow has a unique property which is going to allow you to take care of the Gatekeeper incredibly fast and incredibly effective. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's jump into it. I'm going to break it down in 5 simple useful points, and I hope you guys enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first of all, before I quickly get into today's video, I do want to say that if you guys want a full Easter egg tutorial, there's going to be a link down in the description below. I thought I'd make this one first because, well, it's much more effective, and I promise you guys that you do not want to miss all of the information I'm going to say. But if you guys do want the full Easter egg tutorial, there'll be a link down in the description below. As of yet, I've not actually made that video, but it will be there tomorrow. So anyway, guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about the setup, how you're going to set yourself up in going into the Gatekeeper. And this is going to be the most kind of important part because, of course, you want to be geared up as possible going into the final battle. So in Acts number 1, we're going to quickly talk about the weapons. A lot of people believe that going into the final battle with the ray gun, the Pack-a-Punch ray gun, is going to be the most effective, and well, quite simply, that isn't the case. On 3 to 4 separate occasions, I did use the ray gun, and I thought that it wasn't really effective, and my teammates agreed with me. And the reason for that is because it still takes between 3 and 5 bullets to actually defeat the skeletons in the final Gatekeeper battle. So instead, what you want to do is you want every single person on your team to use the Haymaker or the Breaker. These are definitely the best weapons. They're the best for killing skeletons, and they're also the best for killing the dogs that were going to be in the final battle, and they're also the best for killing the Panzer Soldaten. Now, moving in at number 2, I want to mention gobblegums really quickly. The 2 best gobblegums, of course, is going to be Aftertaste and Phoenix Up. These are going to allow you to respawn, or should I say after you've been revived or somebody pops the Phoenix Up gobblegum, you're going to keep all of your perks. And quite simply, that is going to be a reassurance that you or your teammates are going to fall down, but you're going to be able to get back up with at least Juggernaut, because Juggernaut is by far the best perk you want going into this battle, and you guys should already know that. But you know, by the time you've actually got to this stage in the Easter egg, everybody should have all of the perks such as Juggernaut, Speed Caller, Quick Revive, etc. in being able to do this step incredibly effectively, and of course without dying. Now, in Acts number 3, monkeys are going to be incredibly useful. I always recommend you guys to, before you actually get into the final battle, is get as many fire sales as possible. If that includes getting your fire sale gobblegums, etc., then I definitely recommend you do this because monkeys are very important. So what's going to happen is that halfway through the actual battle, you're going to get everything spawning into the ring. This is going to include Panzer Soldaten, the skeletons, and of course the dogs. And the monkeys are just going to quite simply get all the skeletons away. They're a bit of a nuisance. They're not really visible, as well as zombies, for instance. And this is just going to eliminate one other factor that is going to prevent you from going down. And I always recommend that monkeys are definitely going to be the best way in reducing your kind of chances of falling down. In fact, when we did the final battle, me and my friends, 3 of us had monkeys, and it proved incredibly effective. Now, finally, I'm going to give you guys an incredible tip, and that is one of your players, preferably the player with the firebow, should use the Gobblegum Pop Shocks. Now, the reason for this, I'll explain why with the bow later on, but the reason for this is because Pop Shocks eliminates Panzer Soldaten in one hit, so that of course is going to reduce your chance of going down. That is of course going to eliminate one other factor, and quite simply it's incredibly useful. I would recommend 2 to 3 players to have Aftertaste and Phoenix up, probably 2 with Phoenix up, 1 with Aftertaste if possible, and then with 1 with Pop Shocks, which is going to be the designated Panzer Soldat killer, and of course your Haymaker and Brecke take care of the Panzer Soldats incredibly quickly. Now finally moving into the last tip that I'm going to give you guys in regards to preparing for the Gatekeeper battle is your elemental boars. Now this tip is going to be incredibly useful, and I promise you guys that you've not really thought of this, and it's the fact that each elemental boar actually represents one certain thing within the Gatekeeper's battle. So for example, the fire boar is going to be incredibly useful in taking care of the panzers because, well, if you shoot the fire boar at the panzers, it's going to basically get them stuck. And of course, when you've got Pop Shocks combined with that, you're going to be able to take this Panzer Soldat out incredibly usefully. The electric boar, or should I say the storm boar, is going to be incredibly useful taking out the skeletons because quite simply it's going to move around in the Gatekeeper's chamber and it's going to kill all of the surrounding skeletons and of course the dogs, which is going to allow your team to focus on each individual task that they have, such as taking out the Panzer Soldats or shooting the guy's chest, or of course just placing the gravity spikes down in the middle of the ring. Now for the void boar, this might seem like a pretty useless boar, however it is incredibly effective at taking out the Gatekeeper's skulls, which can be very frustrating, especially if you get hit by 3 or 4 of them, which is going to give you a red screen, and then of course you're only 1 hit from death. So the void boar, which is the purple boar, should always run around and spam the void boar when basically the Gatekeeper's skulls spawn in. Finally, for the wolf boar, now this one is incredibly difficult to kind of give a particular task to, but what I'm going to say in regards to the wolf boar is that you want this person to always basically focus on the Gatekeeper's chest when it is exposed. Now, you need to combine this with another boar, so of course, depending on whose boar is being used or who's not really got anything to do, for example, if there's no Panzer Soldats within the game, then of course the fire boar should combine with the wolf boar to take out the Gatekeeper's chest, which is going to progress you in being able to complete the final Easter egg. Now moving into the actual tutorial and moving into what actually happens in the Gatekeeper's chamber, and this is going to be very easy to understand because, well, it is just basically very simple. So first of all, what's going to happen, you're going to spawn into the Gatekeeper's chamber, skeletons are going to spawn, and then of course these fiery mountains, which you want to completely avoid. Don't be afraid of staying on the outskirts of the Gatekeeper's chamber, and of course don't be afraid in going in the middle of the circle if that is definitely required. So after the skeletons and fiery mountains will spawn, the Gatekeeper is going to fire his skulls, which you of course want to use the void boar to counteract their skulls with your skulls, which is just going to prevent other people from going down and being hit by the Gatekeeper's skulls. Now after a few different spawns of skeletons, fiery rocks and of course the skulls, what's going to happen is that an electrical orb is going to form in the middle of the chamber, in which one of your players want to run into that orb and slam their gravity spikes down as a trap with the L2 bumper, which is basically going to counteract his electrical attack, in which is going to allow you to shoot the Gatekeeper's chest. Now what I will advise after you've slammed your gravity spikes down as a trap is that all 4 players want to hide behind one of the 5 pillars, and the person with the storm boar / electric boar wants to shoot it near each of the 4 players, including himself, as quite simply this is just going to kill any surrounding dogs / skeletons, which is going to prevent you from going down. Now the reason for hiding behind one of the 5 pillars is because if your gravity spikes don't work, then the Gatekeeper is going to send an electrical charge across the whole Gatekeeper chamber, in which he's going to insta-kill anyone that is not behind a pillar, and of course doing this is going to be a very useful combination, especially with the storm / electric boar, in being able to stay alive. Always ensure that the player that put down their gravity spikes after the Gatekeeper's chest has opened picks the gravity spikes up after this process has taken place. Now after you've done this 2 times and shot the Gatekeeper's chest, a max ammo will spawn in the middle of the Gatekeeper's chamber, in which of course somebody wants to pick it up, as the next part is when the Panzer Soldats are going to spawn into the chamber. Now the first time that the Panzer Soldats do spawn into the Gatekeeper's chamber, the Gatekeeper is going to quite simply disappear, which means that you need to focus on staying alive. You do not need to look in the middle of the map for the electrical orb, as quite simply this will not spawn in again until the next max ammo, when basically the Panzer Soldats are all dead. Now, at the time of this recording, it's not incredibly clear if it's based on time or based on the amount of Panzer Soldats you kill in order to respawn the Gatekeeper, but what I will say from personal experience is that it usually takes between 6 to 8 Panzer Soldats to kill in being able to respawn the Gatekeeper. Now, after the Panzer Soldats are all dead, you'll know that the Gatekeeper is going to respawn as another max ammo will be placed in the middle of the Gatekeeper's chamber, in which is going to indicate that round 2 with the Gatekeeper is going to begin. Now, stage 2 with the Gatekeeper is going to be incredibly similar to stage 1, but this time there's going to be increased skeleton spawns, increased skull spawns, and increased volcano spawns. As well as this, there is also going to be hellhounds that will now spawn within the Gatekeeper's chamber. All you need to do is do exactly like stage 1, is look at the middle of the Gatekeeper's chamber for the electrical orb, and then one player needs to place their gravity spikes down as a trap when that electrical orb is displayed. Then you can open up on the Gatekeeper's chest and basically do this another 2 times. After 2 more times has been done, what will happen is another max ammo will spawn in the middle of the Gatekeeper's chamber, in which will indicate another round of Panzer Soldats. After this round of Panzer Soldats has been completed, another max ammo will spawn in the middle of the Gatekeeper's chamber, in which will trigger the 3rd and final stage of the Gatekeeper. Now, this final stage is definitely the hardest of them all, as well as going to be simply increased skeletons, skull and volcano spawns, as well as bloodhounds and now Panzer Soldats. Basically, what you need to do is have each player designated to a certain role. For example, the fireball needs to focus on the Panzer Soldats, the electrical ball needs to focus on killing all of the skeletons and hellhounds, and the person with the void/purple ball needs to focus on taking care of the Gatekeeper's skulls. During all of this process, the person with the wolf bow, of course, can take out the Panzer Soldats and any other of the entities on the Gatekeeper's chamber, but also needs to keep his eye out in the middle of the ring. The reason for this is because, quite simply, the electrical orbs will still spawn, in which another 2 more times a player needs to place down the gravity spikes as a trap, in which will open up the Gatekeeper's chest. After the 2nd time in this round that the orb has been counteracted, and of course the Gatekeeper's chest has been shot, you're going to see that the Gatekeeper is going to spin around and basically die, which is going to indicate that you have now completed the final boss, in which you'll then spawn back to the original map within the pyramid room. Now that the Gatekeeper has been completed and defeated, you still need to bear in mind that the round in which you went to the Gatekeeper is still continuing. So before you go to the Gatekeeper's chamber, I would always recommend that in fact you just leave one zombie on one crawler alive, so when you come back after defeating the Gatekeeper, you're not going to have to deal with a lot of Panzer Soldats and zombies like me and my friends did when we completed the Easter egg. Now, after you've defeated the Gatekeeper, all you need to do is take the summoning key and place it into the computer next to the bell tower. This is going to finally complete the Easter egg, in which I'm going to play for you guys in just a second, but I just want to say, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a like, and I'm going to leave the cutscene for you guys. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I've been Long Sensation, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
He's still alive.
I fucking hope so.
This subject will one day wreak havoc across the entire universe. He cannot be allowed to live.
This wasn't how it was supposed to go. We were supposed to secure the package and be in and out clean. Instead, the whole thing's been one disaster after another. I should never have trusted you, Richthofen. Never!
You should trust me, Dempsey. You all should. This artifact has the power to contain and preserve the subject's soul. Your soul. But it can only be done after the moment of death, just as you saw me do to my other self. It is the only way.
Wait! If someone's gotta take him out to save the universe, then it should be me that does it. Good to see you, Tank.